so you can see the whole area and what's going on. The road maintenance, that road blew out on us, just on vehicle traffic going back and forth. So we had the crew out there and we dropped 2 layers, 6 inches deep, I think, of 3-inch fractured rock just to stabilize that road so that we had access in and out. In order to make solve some of the problems, they opened up the old bypass pipe that goes straight to the sedimentation basin. What that's going to allow us to do is get clean water. But you can see there wasn't enough head pressure here to run that pipe. So a cofferdam was built in, a mini temp cofferdam. The end of that pipe is actually sticking out right here, which allows full water to come in. So now we can actually work in the lower reservoir without causing turbidity into the water on this part. And I'll get to the boil order here in a second. So we had a problem that there's choke points up in there, and how do we get equipment in and out? How do we get the sedimentation out? How do we get everything? And it wasn't feasible, so what we did is we built a new bypass road, like 200 foot of road, going, I'm standing on this picture on top of the sedimentation basin, just right beside it so we can get into the area. And then another thing we're gonna be doing, which I'll talk about in a second, our bypass is sitting right down in here. Up here, we had to dredge out another big spot in the bed load, and to have a redundant system, we're bringing in big pumps, and we're actually gonna drop a couple redheads up in there so we have a redundant system so we can make sure the city always stays with water while we're doing repairs on the lower reservoir.
Sir, what's a redhead?
It's basically the end of a suction nozzle that doesn't allow it to suck everything, all the material and rocks up and in, but it lets the water flow.
So it's a screen.
It's a screen basically on the end of the pipe. And then we have to build a cofferdam. So we've been going over this cofferdam design on how we're going to do it. So basically the end state, we have to build a cofferdam to replace the northern retaining wall and the boards in there to bring the elevation up on this side so that we can actively use the system as designed, which is going through our intake manifold, through the sedimentation basin, and then down to the plant. So there's a lot of steps that are going to be involved with this thing. So the first thing we have to do is we have to bypass the actual lower reservoir itself, and we have to engage the sedimentation basin. We have to get the sediments out, and it has to be stabilized for a long enough period of time that DEQ will understand our temporary fix right now will work, because if it won't, and if they don't trust it, they won't lift the boil order. So what's going to be happening, we have the pipe here in orange. It's running on that right now, and it's doing just fine. It's doing great. It's operating as designed. When we turned it on, we were running about 3 to 4 NTUs. And for those that don't know, we can barely handle 15 NTUs. We average on a good summer day 0.26 NTUs. That's the turbidity units. After the storm, we were running about 7 to 9. We've dropped down to 3 to 4, but we did receive a blast, but we were expecting it. Street supervisor was working with water plant to make sure they knew it was coming. We had 2 people on hand to do backwashing just in case it was necessary. It wasn't, it calmed right back out. So everything went well there. So the orange line, the temporary cofferdam and the bypass is working, but tomorrow we're gonna have a pump come in and we're gonna pump that second line over into the sed basin. So we just wanna make sure we have a redundant system, so if one goes down, we have another, and we'll have a third pump or a second pump on hand, all heat taped up in case we need it for an emergency if something happens to the other one. So we're making sure we have everything covered. Since that pipe's feeding it, and we're gonna have that pump idling at about 700 gallons per minute, what we need when it's really calm is about 800 to 900. So we may get excess water going into there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually go create an overflow out the side of the sedimentation basin. It's like a concrete basement. And we'll put a pipe down the side of it, and we'll just have it go right into a storm system that'll feed right back down into the creek. That way we just have a steady, constant flow. It'll never go over or go under, depending on the demands of the plant. So we're gonna be doing that. This is the first step. So Once this gets stabilized, which it should be tomorrow, we're gonna start testing tomorrow afternoon. We're gonna be testing turbidity above it at the plant, and then what we're putting out to our water customers, we're gonna be testing several sites every single day so that we can show a track record that it has stabilized, the system is working. And then from there, we're also gonna send them the last month to 2 months worth of data. So we can say, where are we at now compared to where we were? And we'll be watching weather reports and everything else. We've already been testing for all the coliforms. We have to do a heavy metal test every 9 years, but any disruption within a reservoir, you have to do another heavy metals test. It was non-detect except for nickel, we're allowed 1 part per billion, and we had 0.002. And for sulfates, we're allowed 500 parts, we had 1. So we are so far below those limits, it can't build up because we've never had heavy metals going into it. And just on a note, everybody said, well, the letter to the president had heavy metals, so it's true. Actually, the mayor received a call from Zinke's office. Someone had AI part of that letter, and that whole mercury scare that went on with the school and the kids, they just put the heavy metals and said, oh, it must be here. So that was incorrect, and we got apologies from Zinke's office on that. So just to kind of cap, this will be running smooth tomorrow. We're going to start testing the water tomorrow, and we're going to have to test it for 5-6 days.